Okay, let's start number 3. It's 11:33 on Friday night, 11:33 p.m. I'm like you. I see there's like 10 of you or 15 of you that are working on the homework right now. And it looks like Shining here is just as, I don't know, procrastinating as some of you. It turns out as an undergrad, I was much the same way. So I guess old habits die hard. I don't know why they, I don't know, say celebrate the person that waits to the last minute. I unfortunately don't think I'll be done by 11:59, but I don't have a due date. I'm just trying to honor my near due time. Okay, let's go to chapter 3. Okay, so chapter 3 was where we started to discuss production possibility frontiers and talking more about specialization and trade. So let's look at this. Bulgaria's production possibilities. Again, for all these questions, yours might be slightly different, but the same concepts should be present. Shape of Bulgaria's production possibilities frontier should reflect the fact that Bulgaria produces more smartphones and fewer tablets. That as Bulgaria produces more smartphones and fewer tablets, the opportunity cost specialized. Okay. So when I started reading this, the shape, I just jumped to the second paragraph, the shape of Bulgaria's, and I was like, I wonder how I would actually know this. Because in the first paragraph, I was actually given an essential phrase here, and that would be the phrase in the second line here where it says, the same set of resources are equally useful. So this gives us a little bit of a teaching moment here. What's the difference between that and that? And the difference would be here is that behind this, there is land, there are resources, there's labor. All of these things are present that are helping us produce this. And that's true here as well as here. But the reason why this is bowed outwards, where there's increasing opportunity costs, is that we're saying is that at some point, one of the resources isn't as well matched to producing the output. That's why most production possibility frontiers are bowed outwards. Let me give you an example. I drive a Prius to work. So I live in Manoa. I don't drive very far, and it's a pretty straight drive. Um, I mean, it's not, and and I'm a professor, so it's not like I'm hauling, boats to the ocean or anything like that. Um, but if we became a society that really pushed everyone having to be fisher people, fishermen, anglers, and we all had to have boats that we pulled with our cars, at some point my Prius is not going to be the right kind of vehicle to be pulling a boat to the shore. It's going to become not well adjusted to doing that. That's why a PPF would be bowed outwards. If we're just saying that the two products being produced is driving to my job as a waiter at a restaurant versus being a professor, then the Prius would be equally useful. And then you would have something that's a straight line. Okay, let's go back to the questions. So, We'll check our answer here, remains constant. That would be graph 1. This is exciting. Now we get to answer. Yay, I'm correct. Okay, so here we would have our answers here. Okay. Number 2, absolute and comparative advantage. Felix and Janet are farmers. They each have a 12-acre plot of land. This is how much stuff they can grow. Oh man, I'm gonna have to do some math here. Okay. So, okay, let's start to do the math. Okay. So, to do the math, we have to multiply each of these by 12. So 40 times 12. If Felix did nothing but make rye, that would be 480, whatever the unit is of rye. And 8 times 12 would be 96 units of corn. That's okay. For Janet, 336 of rye, and times the 12 acres. Okay. Let's go back to this. So Felix is 480 and 96. Or 80 and 96. Okay. Janet is 336 and 84. There you go. 336 and 84. Okay. Absolute advantage in the production of rye. That's going to be Felix. He can just make more. And who can make more corn? that would also be Felix. He can just make more corn. His intercepts are furthest from the origin. Opportunity cost for Felix of 1 corn would be 5 bushels of rye. Now, how did I get that? You may ask yourself. Because here the trade-off is 40 and 8. Divide each side by 8. 1 corn is equal to 5 rye. That's the trade-off for Felix. And whereas Janet's opportunity cost of corn is is 4. Felix has a higher opportunity cost of producing corn than Janet. That would mean then that Janet has the lowest opportunity cost for corn, so she would have the comparative advantage. And we know by deduction, if Janet has it in corn, then Felix would have it in rye. Let's see if we did it right. Thank God. Otherwise, I would have explained something incorrect to you. Number 3. Looks like I solved this already. Let me try another version. That way we'll get some clean numbers here. Okay. Bellissima and felicidad. God, what is with this author and corn? It's some weird thing about corn. Okay, genes in corn. What is the opportunity cost of making genes for Bellissima? I'm gonna write these down here. That way I can transfer it over. Bellissima and felicidad, genes and corn. 8 and 5, 16 and 20. And they have 4 million hours to do stuff. Okay. So in my case, Bellissima faces that kind of trade-off. So that would be 8J to 16C. Divide each side by 8. They would get 1J to 2C. If instead I divided each side by 16, I would get 1C to 1/2 J. Those are my opportunity costs, both of these. Okay, and Felicidad's opportunity cost. Okay. Therefore, who can make jeans the cheapest? That would be Bellissima. Because she only gives up 2 bushels of corn, whereas Felicidad have to give up 4 bushels of corn. And by deduction, we know that Felicidad would have the opportunity to cost a comparative advantage in the production of corn. To prove that to ourselves, 1 corn costs half of a J for Bellissima, but only costs a quarter of a gene for Felicidad. So Felicidad can make corn the cheapest. Now, say that each country then specializes where they do their thing the best and they produce only that good. Then genes are going to be made by Bellissima. That would mean that they would make 32 million pairs. How did I get that? I took 8 pairs of genes. So now, because Bellissima is best at making genes, they're going to produce the extreme. They're going to produce just genes. So it's going to be 8 genes per hour, and they have 4 million hours. So 8 times 4 is 32. As for corn, which is made by Felicidad, that would be 20 times 4. That's going to be 80. Okay. Bellissima is going to make 32 and 0. And Felicidad's going to make 0 and 80. Ooh, exciting, huh? Okay. Now, trade action. Bellissima is going to export genes and she's going to import the corn that she needs. Felicidad is going to have to import the genes and she's going to export the corn. 32 minus, because the export, so that means I'm selling off 18. Is going to be 14. Imports means I get to now consume it because I'm getting it from others. That's going to be 54. So you subtract exports, add imports. Add imports. Okay. So now Bellissima is at 14 and 54. Okay. So when Bellissima did not trade, they got 8. Because they did trade, they got 14. So the difference between 8 and 14 is 6. Didn't trade, they had 4. Bellissima had 48 of corn, now has 54. That would be 6 more. Used to have 15 before trade, now has 18, so that is 3 more. Used to have 20, now has 6, 26, that's 6 more. Now, total production of genes is now 32, used to be 23. So that would be a difference of 9 million pairs per month. And as for corn, I used to make 68 as said here. Now I'm making 80, that's a difference of 12. Okay, this is exciting. Okay. Number 4. So now I have 2 PPFs, one for Fredonia and one for Lamponia. Both produce lemons and sugar initially, producing 24 million pounds of lemons, 12 million pounds of sugar. Okay. I already solved this. Okay, so let me redo another version here. Cardonia and Sylvania, grain and coffee. 6 million pounds of grain, 3 million pounds of coffee. Okay. What does Candonia have as a option? Okay. What is Candonia best at making? That's really our question. So it looks like here, sorry, I'm just writing down things here. So what I did is I looked at basically the extremes of the PPF to get the trade-off. So it was 6 of coffee for 12 of grain. For Sylvania, it was 12 of coffee for 8 of grain. If I divide each side by 6, that would be 1 coffee for 2 grains, or divide each side by 12, and you get 1G to 1/2 C. So there's my opportunity cost for Candonia. Divide each side by 8, I get 1G2. It's just instead divide each side by 12. Then I would have 1 coffee to 0.66 of a G. 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 0.66 And comparing this to this. Who makes G grains the cheapest? One grain costs half of a C if you're Candonia. It costs 1.5 corns if you're Sylvania. So the answer here would be Candonia. Who makes coffee the cheapest? 1C costs 2G, 1C costs 0.66G. So the answer here is Sylvania. Okay. Sylvania had it in coffee. And that must be grain. I should check my work. Yeah, Candonia was grain. After specialization, then the total would be Candonia is going to make grain, so that's going to be 12 of grain and 12 of coffee. Should both be 12, I believe. So where's my consumption after trade? And this is for Candonia. Okay. So what we do here is we have to, in this case, plot out the same point for the person being able to consume more because of the trade. So if the graph is showing the PPF for Sylvania at the original point as well as the original point day, we now need to show what's the consumption after trade. So Candonia is going to make grain and then trade it for the coffee. So what that means here is they're going to trade off, let's see here, 2 for 2. That's the exchange. 2 million pounds for 2 million pounds. So 12. My 6 is 6. So what we're saying here is Candonia could have made sorry. Could have made 12 of grain, 12 of coffee, and if Candonia consumes 6, that requires trading off 6. For 6 grain, you would have to trade off 6 coffee. And for Candonia, Place a black point to indicate Sylvania's consumption after the trade. Um, this we're going to know is going to be true. Free trade does always benefit all. So let's just answer that one as true. For Candonia, place the black point. Uh-huh. Sorry, I'm just trying to get this right here. Yeah, right. Sylvania. Sylvania's making coffee. Sorry, that should be like that. Okay, well, we got some error here. Don't know what it is yet. There's gonna be an error here. I do know this. And well, now it's also. Oh man, is that gonna let me even answer anything? Okay, well, I hope it will. Yeah, okay, I understand that. Yeah. Okay, so my points weren't plotting exactly the same, so that's why it wasn't appearing correctly. Let's talk about. It's just because my iPad, the things were not. I couldn't manipulate it the right way. Let's just talk about the explanation of the answer here, just to understand this best. So it's absolutely true here. Fredonia still had the what's it talking about? Because I had coffee and grains. What am I dealing with? Sugar and lemons. Okay. Well, it's not what I had. Okay. I lost my. Oh, now it's really mad because I didn't finish this before 11:59. Oh, now it's really pissed. Okay, so now it's gonna end up marking everything wrong because I didn't have enough time to do it. Okay, so let's just deal with this. Okay, price of trade. Greece and Switzerland making oil and olives. Greece's opportunity cost is 5 barrels of oil for a crate of olives. Switzerland is crate of olives for 10 barrels of oil. Who makes olives the cheapest? That would be Greece, because they only give up 5 barrels of oil. Switzerland would have to give up 10. Switzerland will be our oil. So, what would Greece have to do? It would have to get more than 5, because if it didn't, it would for 5 it could just do it itself. So it needs to get more than 5 to make it worthwhile. For Switzerland, it would have to receive um, have to receive more than a tenth of a crate of olives because there's 10 barrels of oil. So you just do the reverse way of division. Which of the following prices of trade would allow Greece to gain from trade? 1, 9, 5, 12. Yeah, actually, all of these work. It just depends on what country you are. If you are um, if you are Switzerland, you're going to do anything. Um, you'd want to get more than 5 barrels of oil. If you're Greece, um, if you're if you're Switzerland, you want to get um, more than 10 barrels. You're going to want to get more than one. You're going to want to give up less than 10 crates, 10 barrels of oil to get a crate of olives because you could do it for 10. If you're Greece, you want to get more than 5 barrels of oil for all the corn that you're making. All of these are going to be options because all of these exist within those ranges. Okay. I'm going to end this one here and then hopefully the system is going to let me make things.